Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 3 of the build video. I have one quick note before we get into it. I'm using an Insta360 camera, which does full 360 when you have it on that setting. I have a quick capture button, which I thought just did the front camera, but it did the full 360. And I didn't notice that till I was editing some of this. So in some of the shots, I'm either covering the microphone on accident or my hand is in the frame. I tried to edit around it, but it will be there for a bit of it. Going forward, I won't be using that function unless I need it. That's about it. Let's get into it. So I think for my game plan here, I cut a piece just as wide as the doorway. I think I'm gonna run 90-degree square on each side, 90-degree square up here, or just a square. It's not a 90-degree square, it's just a square. And then slap this up so I can clamp it here, clamp it to the 90s. It's gonna be a mess, and you're gonna watch me suffer through it. It's gonna look bad. But let's give it a shot. I've got this one stapled twice in the bottom, but it's still free up here. It's just held in by the 2 squares. I'm gonna try and get the other one up in the same way with the other 2 squares, and then make sure that piece fits in between. And I'll just run a temporary staple up here. I'm just hoping, because I can do 22 way over here, and it'll just be on a mad angle. So I'm hoping the 90s and that 22 make it work together. I have 4 90s on 2 pieces, and I have this piece which is cut the exact same length is down here. So I'm hoping this will work. I'm going to throw in a couple more staples to this piece so it doesn't shift, and do some final measurements, but I think I got it. If not, I'm going to have a really crooked looking door. We got the full 79.5 inches here, and then I got them running 49 up this way. This is gonna be the cross piece, and then it's gonna angle in from here, which I haven't decided how far that'll go yet. Then I can get my plywood sheets under there, get my insulation in there, get my supports in there. I got the last of the supports I'm going to put in here. I'm going to put the first layer of ply on, flip it over, put the insulation in, put the second layer of ply on. But I do think I'm going to move this to the floor. Now I got a little ahead of myself and I construction adhesed the bottom, I adhesed the bottom half, so I'm gonna get a rough cut of another piece of plywood ready to go. I've got the 1-inch insulation cut to size, and I'm gonna glue it all into place. Well, I don't remember if it made it into the edit in the last video, but I was worried about reusing this stuff after a long period of time. The directions say hold the can upright, point the hose down, but I was only getting air out, so I tipped it over and I was able to get all the liquid out, but it's just about done with 3 pieces left. So I need to go get another can. I can still feel some in there, but it's like not moving around. It's like hard or clumpy or something. But I don't want to risk starting to put some in one of the holes, it doesn't cover it, and now I gotta scrape all this stuff out, so. That's it until I can get some more. Just kidding, I let it sit for a minute, I tried it again, and it squirted the last of it out. Just enough to make it. Before I lay the other side of plywood on, I'm gonna trim this down with the router to make it easier to work with and easier to see where I'm going with things. This is also going to be a little bit tricky because I have to put the PL3 on the wood and the construction adhesive on the foam, lay this down and go from there. Let's get to it. Let's get the second piece cut out, glued, adhesed, set, and stapled. I'm gonna now router it out. I got it set in my DeWalt box here, so it's a little easier this time. I'm glad I didn't throw this box out. So as I said earlier, my 48 inches ends here before the curve because of my mess up in measuring these walls. So I've been messing around with a template for this. I figured out if I do 22.5 degrees on these 4 sides, it matches these walls here, but then it also gives it a flat there, and it follows the angle coming up here, so that I can push insulation right up against it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and make a bunch of these for all the angle bits. I'm gonna need one here and one here between every wall, and eventually going into the Cabover section. So let's get to it. I'm making the center supports for the structure, and I had a bit of an oversight. If you imagine the plywood sheet over this, if I do an angle like this, it's gonna end here, but then it goes back flat here. So I'll have to do another 1.5 inch piece here, or I need to raise this and raise the whole thing so that the sheet meets the edge right there. Same thing for this side. For it to meet with a flat sheet, I would need the flat sheet to butt up to the edge of this, and then have a lower rail, a 1/4 inch lower, kind of like that, so that the sheet would butt up against these edges. Bit of an oversight. I've been racking my brain on it for a bit, and that's about the most I can figure out. I think that's going to be really tricky once I have to get to this angle, because it's not only going down, but it's coming out as well. You can see there. So this might take some math, a few chunks of wood for sacrifice to test, but we'll figure it out. We're too far along now to change it. Okay, I think I have a solution for this problem. Here's my ceiling piece here. Now when I bring this up to here, if I have this all straight and squared up, shoot, there we go. Depending on where I put this, whether I move it back or forward, I can control where these angles butt up. So I shouldn't have to do anything here. Maybe put a strip running all the way along here still. But then for this bottom piece, if this is elevated above there, and I bring it down to meet, there's gonna be a gap in there where there's nothing securing it. So this is about a 13-degree decline here. So I cut a 13-degree wedge test piece, and then I can slide this right into here. There's no guesswork where this has to go then. I can just make that flush, glued in flush, glue this here. Now this comes down. There will be an extra seam here, but I can cover all this with filler, and then I'll have a good nailing surface to secure this to. I think that'll be a nice little fix. I have the 3 support pieces mounted on both sides, and I have the middle support done except for this piece here. So what I plan to do is make this piece, get this piece covered up while I still have access to it with 1/4-inch ply. Then I can mount the Cabover. I planned on getting a couple of these to support the Cabover in a level position out here, but they're not tall enough. So what I'm gonna do is move this to this side and move all the woodworking stuff over here. And then I'm going to use my lift legs to set the height of the Cabover. All right, I have the cracks in my concrete and it does pivot a bit. So I'm trying to keep it, sorry, I got the hiccups. I'm gonna keep it pushed back there behind that crack. So even though it's angled down for the pitch of the garage, as long as I keep the angle the same, it should be flat when it's all said and done. We'll see how that turns out. Man, these hiccups are whooping my ass. After routering, I took my glasses off and this lens just popped off from where that piece hit me. Now these are Z87 Plus, so I know the plastic isn't supposed to snap, it's supposed to bend and deform. So I'm just gonna chalk that up to these being super old. But it was just kind of funny, I got hit in the face and then I took them off and the whole lens popped off. Anyways, wear your safety glasses. And that's where I'm gonna call it for this video. We are making progress, still quite a way to go. Thanks for watching, I'll see you back in part 4.